Yeah, so we are discussing the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and third chapter is entitled Karma Yoga. So this is the bird's eye view of the third chapter. So right now we are on the 13th verse, and first 16 verses are about the Karma Kanda and yoga activities. So Krishna has been telling that, like a right, basically a sincere sweeper in the street is better than a pretender charlatan doctor. So it's better to do your own service in a better, nicer way, and then offer the results to Krishna rather than imitating somebody else's service. And then Krishna is explaining that in order to maintain this body, also we have to work, and so we can't even like stay for a minute also without working. Nahi kaschit chadamapi jata tishtati man akarmakrit. So that's why basically the right way to do Krishna consciousness is to continue our activities, but then connect those activities with Krishna, like offer the results of those activities to Krishna. So now we are on the 13th verse, right? Mm. So I think we read this verse last class. Yajnasishtasena santavo muchyante sarvakil vishay bhunjate detvagam bhava ye pachante atmakarana. So this is very important verse because like this this is like a fundamental principle in our spiritual life. So generally when we see a very tall building like Empire State of Building, we know that what is most important to build a tall building. Does anybody know?
Sorry, what did you ask?
So, what is most important in order to build a tall building like Empire State of Building, which has
The
120
foundation.
Foundation.
foundation? Yeah, who is this? Akshat.
Yeah.
Okay, I think you built your house recently. That's why you're on your toes now. Nice. Yeah, foundation.
Correct.
Foundation is very important. Yeah. So, and foundation is laid by our by following the four regulative principles. And one of the most important thing in our life is what we eat, because it is said that you are what you eat. And that's why in this verse we will find that we should eat anything after offering it to Krishna, because uh, if we don't acknowledge the presence of Krishna, that the source of everything is Krishna, then we are just like thieves. So we should offer it to, like, whenever we cook something, we should offer it to Krishna and then take that prasada, because after offering to Krishna, it becomes prasada. So Prabhupada used to say that the taste immediately changes, and that is the proof that Krishna has tasted that bhoga with his own lotus lips. So that's what this verse is saying. The devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is offered first for sacrifice. Others who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment verily eat only sin. So this is one of the pillar of our foundation of our consciousness. That whatever we eat Krishna Prasada. Then our consciousness will always be spiritualized, will always be Krishnized. Yeah. So we should not eat meat, fish, eggs, tea, coffee, those things. And like better is eating vegetarian. But even better than eating vegetarian is eating Krishna Prasadam only. So that is Krishnatarian. That will make you Krishnatized. Yeah. So anybody wants to read purport of this verse? Akshat, you want to read?
Sure. The devotees of the devotees of the Supreme Lord, or the person who are in Krishna consciousness, are called sons, and they are always in love with the Lord, as is described in the Brahma Samhita. Premarjana Charita Bhakti Vilokanena Sanata Hridaya Vilokayati. The son, being always in a compact of love with the Supreme Personality, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, the giver of all pleasures, or Mukunda, the giver of liberation, or Krishna, the all attractive person, cannot accept anything without first offering it to the Supreme Person. Therefore, such devotees always perform yagnas in different modes of devotional service, such as Sarvanam, Kirtanam, Samaranam, Ar- Archanam, etc. And these performances of yagnas keep them always aloof from all kinds of contamination of sinful association in the material world. Others, who prepare food for self or sense gratification, not only thigh, thief, but also the eater of all kinds of sin. How can a person be happy if he is both a thief and sinful? It is not possible. Therefore, in order for people to become happy in all respect, they must be taught to perform the easy process of Sankirtan Yagna in full Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, there can be no peace, no or happiness in the world. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Yeah. So is my voice audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Yeah, so in this purport, Prabhupada is saying that like performing yajnas is very important, because without performing yajna, nobody can be happy. In the fourth chapter also, Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada writes, without performing yajna, nobody can live this material life happily. So yajna can be anything which you offer to Krishna. It can be offering of Lakshmi, it can be offering of your prane arte diya vacha. So it can be offering of your endeavor, of your life energy, prana. It can be offering of your body in service of Krishna, or it can be offering of your voice also, of your sound vibration. But everything has to be offered to Krishna. So then our life becomes blissful. And by offering food to Krishna, we are learning how to basically cook prasada and how to take prasada. So Prabhupada is saying that when we do these processes of Shramanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Archanam, then actually we become more and more fixed in our activities of sacrifice, in our activities of devotional service. So that is the essence, because then we can experience that relationship with Krishna. Like when we get that taste in making sacrifices, in connecting with Krishna through these spiritual activities. So, what are the two things? If you don't offer food to Krishna, then what are the two negative consequences which are written in this purport? Anybody?
Please repeat the question.
Am I not audible? Like, did anybody else hear the question or not?
Yes, we are audible.
Yes.
Sorry.
You are audible, Bhaiya. Prabhuji, you are audible.
So, what is the question? Anybody? Can anybody repeat?
The question is which two, since we are talking, if we don't offer offerings to the Lord.
Yeah, which two negative negative things happen if we don't offer food to?
When people eat without offering things, then they become thief or sinful.
Yeah, yeah. So these are the two things, both the things, not or but and. So because the food is given to us by Krishna, so if we are eating something
And
else's, yeah,
sorry, I meant Hindi wala or. Sorry,
Hindi what?
Hindi ka or.
Acha, acha, okay, okay.
Hmm.
So when you are taking something from somebody else and you are not acknowledging it or you are not asking it, then you become a thief. And in this shloka, Krishna is saying that if you eat without offering, then you are eating sin. So both you become thief also and you become sinful also. So both these negative things are happening when you are not offering food to Krishna. Okay, let's go to the next one. So this is also important verse. Annat bhavanti bhutani parjanyadanna sambhava yagyat bhavati parjanyo yagya karma samudbhava. All living bodies subsist on food grains which are produced from rains. Rains are produced by performance of yagya, sacrifice, and yagya is born of prescribed duties. So that's why without doing sacrifices, nobody can remain happy. Because only because of sacrifices, the rain is produced. That's why that Govardhan Leela happened, right? Krishna said that, why are you doing sacrifice to Indra? Indra is nobody. Ultimately, Supreme Personality of Godhead is somebody else. Indra is just a servant of that Supreme Person. So, sacrifice is made, and only because of the sacrifices, rain happens. And when rain happens, then only agriculture is flourishing. And when agriculture is flourishing, then living entities are happy. So the happiness of the living entities depends on the sacrifice, on the Krishna consciousness of that kingdom. For example, Maharaj Yudhishthir and like Maharaj Ambrish, these are most popular kings of their times who were really Krishna conscious. And they used to basically keep their kingdom so happy, and they used to take care of them personally. So, and that's why the cows used to basically moisten the whole agricultural field. They used to give more than 10 liters at that time because the kingdom was Krishna conscious. The atmosphere was so auspicious, and positive vibrations were there in the entire kingdom. So that is the principle basically. If we follow Krishna consciousness, then automatically our material opulences also increase. Yeah. So I'll read this particular. Srila Baldev Vadyabhushan, a great commentator on the Bhagavad Gita, writes as follows: Ye indrani angataya vastitam yagyam sarveshwaram vishnum abhyarchaya tachesham asnanti ten tad daha deha yatran sambadayanti te santa sarveshwarasya yagya purushasya bhakta सर्व खिल विषय अनादि काल विवृद्ध है आत्मानुभाव प्रतिबंधकय निखिलय पापे विमुच्यन्ते. The Supreme Lord, who is known as the Yagya Purusha, or the personal beneficiary of all sacrifices, is the master of all the demigods, who serve him as the different limbs of their bodies of the whole. So Indra, Chandra, like wind god and water gods, sun god, all these are servants of Krishna. They are just like the limbs of the body of Krishna. And Krishna's body is fully transcendental. So demigods like Indra, Chandra, and Varuna are appointed officers who manage material affairs, and the Vedas direct sacrifices to satisfy these demigods. So that they may be pleased to supply air, light, and water sufficiently to produce food grains. When Lord Krishna is worshipped, the demigods who are different limbs of the Lord are also automatically worshipped. Therefore, there is no separate need to worship the demigods. For this reason, the devotees of the Lord who are in Krishna consciousness offer food to Krishna and then eat, a process which nourishes the body spiritually. Because when you offer it to Krishna, then the food also becomes spiritualized, because the food is in contact with Krishna, so it becomes transcendental. And when you take that food in a transcendental consciousness, then basically your mind also becomes spiritualized. By such action, not only are past sinful reactions in the body vanquished, but the body becomes immunized to all contamination of material nature. When there is an epidemic disease, an antiseptic vaccine protects a person from the attack of such an epidemic. Similarly, food offered to Lord Vishnu and then taken by us makes us sufficiently resistant to material affection, and one who is accustomed to this practice is called a devotee of the Lord. Therefore, a person in Krishna consciousness who eats only food offered to Krishna can counteract all reactions of past material infections, which are impediments to the progress of self-realization. On the other hand, one who does not do so continues to increase the volume of sinful action, and this prepares the next body to resemble hogs and dogs, to suffer the resultant reactions of all sins. The material world is full of contaminations, and one who is immunized by accepting prasadam of the Lord, food offered to Vishnu, is saved from the attack, whereas one who does not do so becomes subjected to contamination. Yeah. So this is very important. Like Prabhupada used to say that this material world is just like a hospital, and all of us are patients who are to be treated of our material disease. And what is the medicine? Medicine is the holy name. And what is the food? So when a person is ill, then if two things are good, the medicine and the diet, then person cures very quickly. So the medicine is the holy name and the diet is Krishna Prasad. So if we take these two things nicely, then we advance in Krishna consciousness and we see our consciousness improving, elevating. So here it is said that like if we don't take Krishna Prasadam, then we are always increasing the volume of sinful action and thus preparing the next body to resemble hogs and dogs. So as I've been telling all of you that basically whatever actions we do in this life, according to those actions, we are shaping our next life. If you are doing only transcendental actions, you will go to Satyaloka, maybe Vaikuntha Loka also. But if you do some mistakes, there's some offenses are there, then you will do some bhakti, but you will be sent into some good family, Sutinam Srimatam, an aristocratic family where you will not be facing any material issues, but you will be given all the opulence, so that you have ample amount of time and energy to practice devotion. So depending on the actions and on the consciousness we cultivate in this life, we prepare our next life. So that's what like here Prabhupada is also saying. Food grains or vegetables are factually eatables. The human being eats different kinds of food grains, vegetables, fruits, etc. And the animals eat the refuse of the food grains and vegetables, grass, plants, etc. Human beings who are accustomed to eating meat and flesh must also depend on the production of vegetation in order to eat the animals. Therefore, ultimately, we have to depend on the production of the feed and not on the production of big factories. The feed production is due to sufficient rain from the sky, and such rains are controlled by demigods like Indra, Sun, Moon, etc. And they are all servants of the Lord. The Lord can be satisfied by sacrifices. Therefore, one who cannot perform them will find himself in scarcity. That is the law of nature. Yajna, specifically the Sankirtan Yajna prescribed for this age, must therefore be performed to save us at least from scarcity of food supply. Yeah. So actually, Prabhupada is saying that there is some specific food for every species. For example, the pigs, the mouse, and the hogs, they eat stool, but we can't eat stool. For example, the tiger, he eats animals' flesh, but we can't eat animal flesh all the time. So similarly, human beings are meant to eat food grains and vegetables. And as we have discussed that human beings cannot eat beyond a certain extent also. For example, polar bear or an elephant, they can eat tons of food, right? But a human being has a limited capacity for sense gratification. And that's why the real aim of human life is to inquire into the absolute. Atato Brahma Jigyasa. So when we inquire about the absolute, when we chant the holy name, when we connect with Krishna through these spiritual activities, then actually we are making the right use of our human body, because this human body is very precious, and this you can use this human body to make spiritual advancement and get a better life in the next life. So all these things are there. And Prabhupada is also saying that the root of everything is the agriculture, because like even if you set up a lot of factories which makes a lot of shoes, washing machines, TVs, and all the other Uncle Chips, Coca-Cola, but if the agriculture is not happening, then those factories will also be not of any use, right? And similarly, Prabhupada is saying here that even animals like hens and other animals like fish, they also eat vegetables. They eat production of vegetation. So if vegetation is not there, then even the small animals will not survive. And vegetation comes only when we do sacrifice. So that's why the piety of that land depends on the amount of sacrifices which devotees do. So that's why basically, like it is said that if there is no devotee, there is no pure devotee in this material world, then there will be no purpose to this material world. So this material world will have to be annihilated. For example, these 4 yugas are there, right? Satyuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Kali Yuga. So at the end of Kali Yuga, the entire material world, the entire earth has to be devastated. Why? Because all the all the kings will be demoniac then, and all the devotees will be finished. And like Lord has different services for those devotees, and that's why then Kalki Avatar comes and he kills all the kings because they are all demoniac, and then he reinstates Satyuga. He reinstates the hidden devotees, which are not actually at the top position. So that's why the purpose of this material world, which Krishna has created, is to reclaim the fallen souls, to propagate this process of bhakti, because the love for Krishna is dormant in everybody's heart, but it can be awakened only by when a devotee who is actively practicing Krishna consciousness, when he like he requests the Lord that, okay, please shower some mercy on this Lord, please be compassionate to this fallen soul, and then some bliss awakens. Then he experiences relish in chanting, in taking prasadam, in hearing, in reading Bhagavad Gita. So anything doesn't happen on its own. Like, although the Krishna prema is dormant in our heart, but something has to happen from the outside also. Some touch of bhakti, some touch of Krishna prasadam, or some touch of devotee has to happen. So that touch acts as a catalyst. Just like in a chemical formula, there is a catalyst to increase the speed of the reaction. So similarly, if Krishna intervenes through his devotees or Krishna prasadam, then basically that reaction that happens faster of awakening of Krishna consciousness. Okay. So this is also important words. Annat bhavanti bhutani, parjanyad anna sambhava, yagyad bhavati parjanyo, yagya karma samarva. Generally, people think that basically the clouds are formed by evaporation of seawater. That is also right. But actually the rain does not happen. Rain happens by condensation. That is the scientific process which science gives. But actually it cannot happen without the sanction of a personality, which is Indra, which is one of the servant of Krishna. So behind every activity there is a person, and that's what Vedas state. Like, it's not only a natural scientific process of evaporation condensation which is happening on its own. There is a person who is facilitating it, and without his sanction nothing can happen. Otherwise, why will droughts happen? Why will floods happen? Why is condensation and evaporation not happening systematically every time? Because there is a person behind it. And when there basically the sinful activities increase of that particular place, then these demigods are not happy, and then they respond about their unhappiness through these calamities like floods and droughts and earthquakes. I hope it is clear here. So we'll move to the next verse. Is there any question till now? Yeah. Okay. कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि ब्रह्माक्षर समुद्भवं तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितम्. Regulated activities are prescribed in the Vedas, and the Vedas are directly manifested from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, the all-pervading transcendence is eternally situated in acts of sacrifice. Yeah. So regulated activities is this only, that you sleep early to bed, early to rise, and then you offer the food to the Lord, take only Krishna prasadam, then do your duties nicely 8 hours, then come back from office, then rejuvenate your energy, spend time in studying scriptures, 1 hour scripture study, and then basically you go to bed with a peaceful, happy mind, happy Krishna consciousness. Purport, Bharti, you want to read?
Yeah, sure. Yajna karma, or the necessity of the work for the satisfaction of Krishna only, is more expressly stated in this verse. If we have to work for the satisfaction of the Yajna Purusha Vishnu, then we must find out the direction of work in Brahman or the transcendental Vedas. The Vedas are therefore codes of working direction. Anything performed without the direction of the Vedas is called vikarm or unauthorized or sinful work. Therefore, one should always take direction from the Vedas to be saved from the reaction of work. As one has to work in ordinary life by the direction of the state, one similarly has to work under direction of the supreme state of the Lord. Such direction of the Vedas are directly manifested from the breathing of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is said, Asya Mahato Bhutasya Nishvasitam Etat Yag Rig Vedo Yajur Veda Sam Vedo Thar Vangirshaha. The four Vedas, namely the Rig Ved, Yajur Ved, Samved and Atharved, are the emanations from the breathing of the great personality of Godhead. Brihad Aranakya Upanishad 4.5.11, the Lord being omnipotent can speak by breathing here, for as it is confirmed in the Brahm Samhita, the Lord has the omnipotence to perform through each of his senses the action of all other senses. In other words, the Lord can speak through his breathing and he can impregate by his eyes. In fact, it is said that he glanced over material nature and thus fathered all living entities. After creating or impregnating the conditioned soul into the womb of material nature, he gave his direction in the Vedic wisdom as to how such conditioned souls can return home, back to Godhead. We should always remember that the conditioned souls in material nature are all eager for material enjoyment. But the Vedic direction are so made that one can satisfy one's perverted desire, then return to Godhead, having finished his so-called enjoyment. It is a chance for the conditioned soul to attain liberation. Therefore, the conditioned soul must try to follow the process of yajna by becoming Krishna conscious. Even those who have not followed the Vedic injunction may adopt the principle of Krishna consciousness, and that will take the place of performance of Vedic yajna or karmas. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Bharti. Would you like to explain? Would you like to summarize? You are ready? What you understood?
I think it is mentioned that we have to work under the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and if one can enjoy all the material opulences, then after all, at the last, we have to go back to the Godhead only. So it's our duty to perform the spiritual activities only, so that we can attain the liberation. And all these also mentioned in the four Vedas. And if we will do any if we will perform any sinful activities or not any spiritual activity, then that activity will be named as vikarma.
Yes.
That's what I have understood.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, so Prabhupada is emphasizing on the importance of Vedas, that we should do everything in this material world under the by following the injunctions given in Vedas. So actually, because we have, so in the spiritual world, because we have rebelled from the Lord, then by default we have material desires. We will have material tendencies to enjoy. But there is a way to navigate. Like Prabhupada is saying that when Krishna injects the conditioned souls in the womb of material nature, not only that, he will give you the Vedic direction also, Vedic wisdom also. So that along with the existence of the material world and the difficult material life, you will have some insight into the Vedas also, which can help you to navigate the conditions of material world. Because as long as you are following the directions of Vedas, it is possible to spiritualize your material activities also. So that's what Prabhupada is saying, that it's very important to follow the injunctions given in Vedas. But even if you don't follow Vedic injunctions, then also you can adopt to the principles of Krishna consciousness. So that will take place of performance of Vedic yajnas. So you don't need to perform any karma kanda yagyas, then you can directly perform Sankirtan yagya and do all the Krishna conscious activities under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. And then by default, the Vedas will be like a subset of Krishna consciousness. And even Krishna says in the 15th chapter, Sarvasya chaham vedi sannavishto makta smritir jnanam uponam cha vedescha sarve rahameva vedyo vedant krit ved videvat chaham. So Krishna is saying that Vedescha sarve rahameva vedyo vedant krit ved videvat chaham. All the Vedas are created by Krishna only. So they are the breathing of the Lord. And by the Vedas, the essence which is to be known as Krishna only. So if you keep following some injunctions, you keep doing some yagyas, but you don't understand Krishna Tattva, then it is of no use. Basically, the essence you are not able to understand of the Vedas. You are just stuck in some of the branches, flowery language of Veda. So Vedas are the breathing of the Lord, right? So Vedas are not written by somebody, some person or some saint like Vyasdev, but it is directly coming from Krishna. And here, one more point Prabhupada is emphasizing is that Lord's senses are interchangeable. Angani yasya sakalendra vitimanti pashyanti panti kalyanti chiram jaganti. So Angani yasya sakalendra. So senses are interchangeable means that Krishna can eat through the ears also. When you chant mantra while offering bhoga, then the mantra which you are chanting, although Krishna is hearing that mantra, but Krishna is eating also that mantra. And Krishna is eating the bhoga also which you are offering. And like that, like he's emitting out the Vedas through his breathing. So Krishna can perform any action of any sense through any sense. So that is the speciality of Krishna, because all his senses, his entire body is transcendental. Sachidananda Vigraha body. It is eternal, it is full of knowledge, and it is blissful. Okay. Okay, we'll read one more verse. Evam pravartitam chakram nanuvartayati yah aghayurindriya ramo mogham parthasya jivati. My dear Arjuna, one who does not follow in human life the cycle of sacrifice as established by the Vedas certainly leads a life full of sin. Living only for the satisfaction of the senses, such a person lives in vain. Yeah, Vidushi, you would like to read that quote?
Sure, Rajat. Yeah, can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yeah.
Yes. The manimist philosophy of work very hard and enjoy sense gratification is condemned herein by the Lord. Therefore, for those who want to enjoy this material world, the above mentioned cycle of performing yajnas is absolutely necessary. One who does not follow such regulations is living a very risky life, being condemned more and more. By nature's law, this human form of life is specifically meant for self realization in either of the three ways, namely Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, or Bhakti Yoga. There is no necessity of rigidly following the performances of the prescribed yagnas for the transcendentalists who are above vice and virtue, but those who are engaged in sense gratification require purification by the above mentioned cycle of yagna performances. There are three different activities. Those who are not Krishna conscious are certainly engaged in sensory consciousness. Therefore, they need to execute pious work. The yagna system is planned in such a way that sensory conscious persons may satisfy their desires without becoming entangled in the reaction of sense gratifactory work. This prosperity of the world depends not on our own efforts but on the background arrangement of the Supreme Lord, directly carried out by the demigods. Therefore, the yagnas are directly aimed at the particular demigods mentioned in the Vedas. Indirectly, it is the practice of Krishna consciousness because when one masters the performance of yagnas, one is sure to become Krishna conscious. But if by performing yagnas one does not become Krishna conscious, such principles are counted as only moral codes. One should not therefore limit his progress only to the point of moral codes, but should transcend them to attain Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Yeah, so I think in this purport also Prabhupada is mentioning the same point, that the prosperity of the world depends on not on our efforts, but on the background arrangement of the Supreme Lord, which are the demigods. So that is the beauty of following Vedic injunctions. For example, you want to enjoy rasgulla or gulab jamun or halwa or chole bhature. So you just offer to Krishna and then take. Then you will be able to satisfy your enjoying desire also, and you can purify your senses also because Krishna tourism. So that is the beauty of following the Vedic. Okay, any questions on this verses? Then we can end early today.
Yeah. Who is a transcendentalist?
Transcendentalists. Okay. This sentence is there. There is no necessity of rigidly following the performance of the prescribed yagyas for the transcendentalists who are above the vice and virtue. Yeah, this is a good question actually. So, so there are different levels of consciousness, right? So there are different modes of nature, mode of ignorance, mode of passion, mode of goodness. And one who has transcended the mode of goodness also, that is transcendentalist, who is fixed in Shuddha Sattva, who is always in touch with the Lord, who is always relishing the Satchidananda Vigraha form of Divine. So that transcendentalist doesn't need to perform any prescribed yajna. I think there is a verse following this one. Yasyat Yasyatmaratirevasya Atmatittasya Manvara Atmanyeva cha santustas tasya karyana vidyate. So one who is completely Krishna conscious, one who is above the three modes of nature. Mai charanya yogena bhakti Mai charanya yogena bhakti abhyabhicharani sagunan samtitetan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So one who performs devotional service, he rises above these three modes of nature and brahma bhuyaya kalpate, and he is fixed on the Brahman platform. So one who has rised above the three modes of nature, he is transcendentalist. And he doesn't need to do all these prescribed yagyas because he has already attained the essence of all Vedas, which are prescribed in these yagyas. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, if there is no other question, then we can end early. Hare Krishna, thank you for joining. Take care.
Hare Krishna.
Namaste.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.